Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Good morning to you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Me First Morning. I am your host, Patricia Rivero Wolfson, and I am an intuitive coach and an energy healer, a wife, a mom of 3 boys. Yes, I say it's crazy, and yes, it's true, but it's amazing. And my mission is to teach you how to, number 1, calibrate your energy. Number 2, how to integrate self-care into easy, doable steps. Nothing extra, just right along with your daily routines. And number 3, I encourage you to embrace your natural gifts to achieve a life you love, because that's what you're here for, and I am here to help you accomplish that mission. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's so nice to be here. That's my little morning warm-up routine. If you're watching, please say hello. If you're watching the replay, say #replay. I don't know why I did that. If you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, please go to Jumpstart for Change and press that little subscribe button, ding that little bell so that you'll get notifications of when I am live. But you can also count on your schedule that I will be here every Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'll be here chatting away, and feel free to spread the word to anyone who you think may benefit from my Me First Mornings. All right, what are we going to be talking about today? Well, let me tell you. I'm so glad you asked, Trish. I'm so glad you're answering. All right, I'm just having one of those mornings. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about whose life are you living, right? Whose life are you living? Because sometimes we get to this point in our lives, and I'm going to admit that very often it happens around this stage of life. We're going to say the middle stage, when we're, sort of in our or approaching our 40s, in our 40s, 50s, like right around that area where you start going, wow, like, how did I get here? Or maybe you're saying, wow, look, how did I get here? Right? And you're excited, which is awesome. I encourage everyone to be excited about being where they are. But just in case you're not, just in case you're thinking, oh my God, how did I get here? Sometimes a little introspection will give you the information that you got here because you have been following the rules and doing the steps and checking off the to-do lists that society, that your parents, that school have given you. And if you're really questioning, what am I doing here? Maybe you did not allow yourself to really have a voice in pursuit the things that light you up. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. Good morning, Meredith. Good morning, Mac. I'm so glad you're here. Hope you're doing well. Okay, so let's go to, I'll keep in mind to keep my language clean since Mac is watching. Good morning, Carrie. Good morning. Welcome. Thank you for being here. So let's begin with our morning ritual and get right into business, okay? Let's just set ourselves right. Let us get centered into our beingness, because as I encourage you to do every day, when you connect with yourself first and you get your frequency or your vibration to where you want it, then you can come out into the world and, be who you are. If sometimes we don't check ourselves first or check our frequency, when we go out into the world, then we're easily influenced by everybody else's energy or everybody else's frequency, because, maybe they're more, sort of have their heels dug into their frequency a little bit more. So it's easier for us to waver if we have not settled into where we need to be. And so, as I've said the analogy before, and since I have a young viewer watching right now, Mac, I often compare this to instruments, right? If you play in a band or if you play music, first you have to tune your instrument before you go and play with somebody else. Because if your instrument is out of key or out of tune, and when we're talking about, our humanness, right? If we are out of our frequency, then it's not going to sound good, right? Then you go out and then you can't really mesh with any other music, with any other instruments, because you're out of key. So even if everybody else is in their key or in playing their notes or have their frequency, you can't, because you haven't tuned your instrument. So that's what the Me First Mornings is all about. It's about us tuning our instruments first before we come out into the world and play our music all over the place. We want to make sure that it's in tune, in key, and at the frequency that we intend. Okay, so let's get our frequencies tuned up today. Let's start by lighting our candle. I'm going to start with turning off my phone, making sure that that's not going to interrupt us. Also very important, making sure that you are completely 100% present with yourself. And turning off any distractions during this routine is really important, because you don't want to pull yourself out of focus, right? You want to focus on yourself, give yourself the attention you need, stay within, and then you can come out at the frequency that you want. All right, so light the candle. There we go. Lighting our candle. And if you like to use essential oils, if you want to use essential oils, if you use that as a tool, I like to use it because, as I say every morning, I like the way it smells, and I like the way it makes me feel when I smell it. So that's what I do. Let's see. Oh, I'm wearing an Eggs McManus original t-shirt today. Hold on. Woo. You know, for anybody watching, Eggs McManus is my husband. That is his artist name, and this is one of his designs that I'm obsessed with, quite frankly. I love Rainbow Pants Cloud. All right, so now we are all set. I don't need these glasses on my head. Okay, let's take 3 deep breaths. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 3 very intentional deep breaths. This is how we center ourselves. This is how we go within. And while we are breathing in, so we're going to take a deep breath in, expanding our capacity to receive breath, oxygen, life. And as we're doing that, we're going to open up the top of our heads, and we're going to imagine, just this beautiful healing light entering in through the top of our heads. Just imagine like liquid sunshine pouring in your head, and it's beautiful healing energy. Also, you're going to have your feet well planted on the ground, and I want you to imagine that your feet, like straws, are like sucking up all of that beautiful life force energy that the earth has to offer us, the same life force energy that creates the budding flowers. It's now winter, so it's not happening right now, but I want you to imagine it anyway. So we're going to imagine the energy, healing life force energy coming up through our feet, up our legs, through our body, as well as that liquid sunshine pouring in through the top. And just imagine all of that healing energy permeating every single cell in your body. And this healing light is so powerful and so bright that it is going to break apart any stuck, stagnant, or dense energy in your body. And then when you exhale, you're going to release all of the excess, all of the things you need to let go of is going to come out through your breath. And we're going to do that 3 times, okay? So here we go. Deep breath in and hold. And release. I like it. Okay, now another deep breath in, and remember, just increase your capacity. You want to really push your lungs to their maximum, allowing that life force energy to permeate your body, to fill your body, and to just get rid of anything that doesn't serve you. Let's do that again. And hold. And release. Okay, and one more time. Let's make this last one count. Deep breath in. And hold. And release. Beautiful. Okay, now let's stretch. Bon dia sound. Good morning. Okay, let's do a stretch. Yes. Oh, there we go. Yeah, let's cover up those pits. All right, stretch. Okay, we want to make sure that we stretch because just as we're releasing any of that stuck, stagnant, and dense energy on the inside, it's kind of inside, outside, that energetic, dust, that energetic debris that we don't need. We want to also release any tension, any stiffness in our body, right? Because we are an instrument, as we said, and we want to clear the instrument. We want to clear the channel so that we can both receive the information we are meant to receive. It comes in forms of ideas and inspiration and creativity. And we also want to be able to express ourselves in whatever way we want to, right? So we want to clear the channel, just like if you have a water hose, right? If it's stuck with gunk in it, the water can't flow easily, right? So first you want to clear the line. So this is what we're doing. We are clearing the line. So just move your shoulders about, stretch in any way you need. I really always need the neck. That's where I hold a lot of my tension, my upper back, my neck, okay? The neck, anybody who carries like a lot of sort of tension and weight in the back, at the top of the back and like the neck, that's sort of the fear area, right? So if, you're afraid or if you have anxiety or you're feeling sort of pressure, like the weight of the world on your shoulders, this is where this kind of releasing of the tension really helps, right? And just release and be like, I've got nothing to worry about. I'm divinely guided and protected. And then we just shake it out. Shake it out, shake it out, shake it out. Just like our dogs, if anybody has dogs at home, when they move positions, when they're trying to like shift their energy, just shake things out. They're like, right? That's what we want to do. We want to shake it out, get rid of that energy that doesn't serve us. Okay, and so now I would like you to take a moment and just think about your intention for the day. What do you want to call in for the day? How do you want to be today? What do you want to feel today? And, pick, if you've done the GPS exercise, if you have my workbook, then you could go ahead and use your GPS word. If you haven't, just think about how you want to feel. And really, that's all you need. And for those of you who are interested in getting the free GPS workbook, if you have not yet, go right here. It's at bit.ly/GPS workbook. And you can work through your GPS word. I have questions there that will help you really hone in on what you really want, how you really want to feel. And then that will help you understand what you need to sort of bring into your life each and every day. Okay, so here we go. Now let's say our little intention. So hold your intentions, just hold on to that thought. And I'm going to say the prayer, and that will call in all of our sort of spiritual support to help us bring those intentions to life. If you have something you want to say on your own, then by all means, fill in your own spiritual prayer, or you can just sit silently and just set that intention for yourself. All right, here we go. Divine Mother, Infinite Father, Creator, Ascended Masters, Archangels, Spirit Guides, Ancestors, and all beings of 100% pure white light, allow me to be a clear and open channel of your light and love without hesitation or ego. May the highest vibration of infinite consciousness connect with my higher self and release any and all things that no longer serve me. May the highest, I ask that Saint Germain and his infinitely powerful violet flame burn away all the things that no longer serve myself or humanity and hold us back from our divine existence. Help us to embody our intentions for the day and help us to raise the collective vibration for the highest and greatest good of all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So be it, and so it is. Oh, that feels so good. I'm like still shaking about. All right, now let's pull a card. And while I pull a card, we're going to talk about this whole whose life are you living anyway? What is it? What was that show? Whose line is it anyway? Well, this is whose life is it anyway, right? And it's really important for us to think about whether or not the things that we originally intended for our life, the dreams that we had, the goals we had, the plans that we made, now's a good time if you've been feeling sort of disconnected from yourself or disconnected from your dreams, or you just feel like something's off and maybe you felt like, life was going to have more in store for you. If that's the case, it's a great time for you to just sort of think back and and think like, were my dreams, were my goals mine? Or did they belong to my family? Or did they belong to society? Am I who I am today because I was trying to gain the approval of someone special in my life, or I wanted to be connected to my value, and I felt that only following this path in my life would make me feel valuable or important, or get the love that I so wanted. I don't know if that's the case for you, but that's why I ask you the question. It's a great time for you to really get introspective. And I don't know if you guys saw the post or if you received my emails, but there were a number of questions that I asked, and I really want to go through them as I shuffle. The questions that would be really good for you to ask yourself right now, in order to kind of like get into that curious introspective mode. Now, none of this is judgment, and none of this is like, oh my God, let's blame our parents for all the crap they did to us, right? This is not about that. This is not about blame or shame. It's not about, we hate society, or we hate, cultural norms or whatever. This is about you just getting really real about who you are and what you really want out of life, and how maybe you still have time to get that for you. Which the answer is yes. One of my main, I don't know what you would call it, but one of my main sort of statements that I use a lot for myself and for my clients is also you are, but it was like, I was going to say you're never too old, which is one of them, but that's like sort of the underlying meaning of it's never too late. So many people that I speak to, they're like, I'm already, this age, like insert age here. And I'm telling you, it happens to people who are close to 30. It happens to people in their 50s. It happens to people in their 70s, right? Who they're like, I'm too old for this, or it's too late for that. Or even people in toxic relationships, it's like, it's too late for me to find someone new. It's too late for me to change my job. It's too late for me to start over. It's too late, blah, 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 blah. Insert whatever thing here. Let me tell you, it's not too late for anything. One of my grandmothers lived till she was like 95. So, my age, which is like 47 to 95, is a lot of years. My mother and dad, they're in their early 70s. So that's like still another potential 20 years of life. That's a lot of living. So I don't care how old you are. And let me tell you, my grandmother, who is my inspiration with that kind of stuff, she learned how to read and write at 70 years old, because she grew up, in Portugal. And, she went to school until like the 4th grade or something. I think that was when she stopped school and started working. So she may have even been younger, because my grandmother didn't know how to read and write. She definitely didn't know how to read and write in English. So my whole life, she would literally like practice her name to sign papers. Like she had to take out a little paper and copy her name. But when she was 70 years old, her biggest joy was to go back to school and learn how to read and write. And she did. She learned how to read in Portuguese. She learned how to write. She would read her little Bible stories, and it was her pride and joy. She was so proud of herself. And let me tell you, I think about that all the time. Whenever I get that limiting belief, like, it's too late to anything, I think my grandma learned how to read and write at 70. I can do anything. And how many people out there are relearning how to live their lives after, traumatic events happening in their life, after losing loved ones, after being through, terrible diseases, and they've had to like learn how to function again. They've had to learn how to create a new life that works for things in their new circumstances. So you can do anything. And here's the point. You're supposed to figure out life on your own. Okay, so here's the questions I want you to ask you. Okay, I said you're supposed to figure out life on your own. I don't mean you're supposed to figure things out by yourself, because we need our family, we need society, we need our community. We need to feel like we're a part of things. And yes, learning, important incorporating sort of cultural traditions, spiritual traditions, family traditions. There are definitely a lot of things that we can take from society, from our families, from our teachers. I'm not taking away any of the benefits. But what we each have to remember is that that's not the only place that has the information of how we need to live our life. We have our own GPS system, which I talk about all the time. Okay. We have our own inner guidance. And we need to connect with that inner guidance because there are many things that will resonate with us. There are many things that we'll want to bring into our lives, that we'll want to incorporate into our lives because it feels good, because it makes us happy. It brings us joy. It makes us feel close to our family. It makes us feel like we belong in society and in the community. But there needs to be room for you to forge your own path with what you want. So you get to take a little bit of this lesson and a little bit of that lesson and apply it to your life, but also shift it and change it and translate it in a way that works for you, in a way that works for your family, in a way that works for your life. It's really important that you know that you can do that. So if you need permission, I'm giving you permission to let you know that you are allowed to shift and change and make things work for you. My mom, she only had 1 year of school or less, had to leave and help raise her brothers. Oh, okay. So my mom is explaining with my grandmother. So she only had like a year of school, which is why she didn't know how to read and write, because she had to leave and help raise her brothers. Okay, that makes total sense. My grandmother, I believe, was one of the oldest in the family. And so that's what you did back in the day. My grandmother would be like 100 something now. So, well, she would be 100 next year. She was born in 1923. So there you go. So if she can learn how to read at 70, we can do anything, people. We can. All right. So here are the questions. I keep saying here are the questions I want you to ask yourself. So when you're thinking about your life, I want you to ask yourself these questions. Whose life am I living? Like, who am I trying to make proud? Now, obviously, these questions only ask yourself if you find yourself kind of at a crossroads in your life. And, maybe you did achieve your dreams. Maybe you are living the life that you imagined that you were going to live. And maybe you're just at a transitional period in your life where you pursued your life. You were really happy with what you had, but you feel a change is in the air. You feel that your perspective is shifting, that your priorities are shifting, or maybe your interests have changed and evolved and you want to do something else. But it's really hard because sometimes, especially if you're in your 40s or 50s, right, you keep hearing from the outside world that you're too old, they're not hiring people at your age or whatever crap you hear. And sorry, Mac, if you're still listening, whatever things that you hear about other people's judgments of how things are supposed to be, or you just have to face the real world, blah, blah, blah. That's all I have to say about that. Blah, blah, blah. Everybody you meet is speaking from their own vantage point, from their own perspective, from their own life experiences, from their own things that they see with their eyes or things that they experience in their life. And so what they're saying is not wrong. They're not wrong. Yes, those things happen. Yes, sometimes you encounter these challenges. Sometimes they may be correct, but that is not true 100% of the time for 100% of the people. Right? And that's what you need to keep in mind, is that nothing is true 100% of the time for 100% of the people, except that everybody lives and everybody dies. That is 100% true for 100% of the people, right? At least as far as we know, up until this point. Also, change. Everything changes, everything evolves. That is true 100% of the time for 100% of the people. And that's it. That's the only certainties that we have in life, is that we all live and die, and that we will experience change and evolution in our lifetime. So, if you are at a point of transition in your life and you are thinking about what you want out of it, or you want a change, or you're feeling, it brewing, you're feeling some sort of change brewing, here's the questions, okay? What do I really want out of my life? What can I live with? And what is eating me up inside? I love this question, and it's something that's become very present, because sometimes, and I was thinking about in terms of like cleaning the house, right? There's certain things in my house that I don't really care about whether or not, like my closet is full. Okay, let's just say I do care, but let's just say There's certain things in my house that I can live with. I can live with certain things in my house. But when, it took me a while to figure out what I could live with and what I couldn't, because I felt the pressure of having to make it look a certain way, right? Because that's how I was raised. Nothing against my mother. I love you, Mom. You're awesome. But my mother is very organized. She's a very clean person. She puts everything in its place. I am not like that. And so very often when my house is a little bit of a mess, I'm like beating myself up because I'm like, my mother would like die if she saw what was happening in my home. So I had to stop and ask myself, am I really upset about, like this pile of papers here? Or am I just, did I just absorb my mother's judgment of that for herself? She doesn't really judge me necessarily. She judges, that's just how she functions. But I had to stop and say, can I live with this pile of papers here? You know what? I can. I can live with this pile of papers here. I'm not going to stress out about it. And when I can't live with that pile of papers there anymore, guess what? I'm going to do something about it. So when you think in those terms, then you release the guilt and the shame around this thing. When you realize that, it doesn't really bother me all that much. And if it doesn't bother you all that much, who gives a... Is Max still here? Who cares if it bothers somebody else? That's their problem. My messy house bothers you? Don't come over. Sorry, That's what we need to do. Live for ourselves and for our families and do what's best for us. So here's another question, right? When you're considering am I in a position to get what I want? And if not, what can I do to get there? If you're liking these questions and you want to ask yourself these questions, if you go to my YouTube page, A Jumpstart for Change, these questions are in the description of the video. Also, if you're watching this on Facebook, this is in the description of the original video where I advertised that I was going to be here. So these questions are there. Okay, next. Next question. What kind of person do I want to be? And how can I create the environment where that person can thrive? Oh, I love that question, right? Like, what's really important to you? Who do you want to be? And what do you need to change, or what can you change in your environment that can make that person thrive? And that's going to take some time to think about, but only you can answer that. Not me, not your coach, not your mom, not your cousin, not your mentor. You are the only one that can answer these questions. These are questions for you and your higher self to connect with and answer. Okay, the other question. And I love this question, what are my unique solutions to the challenges that I face? Right? Ask yourself, how do you want to face it? How do you want to deal with it? What do you want to bring to the table? Because all innovation comes from somebody adding their solution. Right? That's innovation. Innovation is someone giving a solution that has never been given before because they look at it from their unique lens, from their unique perspective, from their unique experience. And they say, hey, all this stuff doesn't work for me, but this does. And then all of a sudden a whole group of people are like, oh my God, none of that worked for me either. This does though. Thank you for sharing, right? And so that's how we come up with solutions. That is how humanity evolves. Each one of us taking care of ourselves in the way that works for us and sharing it with the people that we love and showing them new and different ways of doing things. That is how we evolve as a society. That's how we evolve as a family. That's how we evolve as a community. That is how we evolve as a planet. All right. The last question, how can I create a life that feels in alignment with my highest calling? Very, very personal question. Only you can answer that. Okay, it's 10:30 and I haven't pulled a card yet, so I'm going to do that right now. Same on the house and clean mom and feelings about mess. Oh my God, Meredith, that's why we're friends. We totally understand each other. Right, and that's us artists. We feel that naturally anyway, that we're kind of like off the beaten path and a little bit of rebels because we didn't follow the traditional roots of, what so many other people do, right? I think so. Okay, here's the card. Boom. I don't know what this card means, but I kind of do. All right. The card is number 45, Sad Embrace. And we've pulled this card before. And I think this is really about us saying goodbye to the things that don't serve us saying goodbye to the traditions that we don't feel connected to, us releasing the things that they just don't fit with who we are now. And very often I think we're afraid of saying goodbye to these things because we think it means we're cutting off the people that we love, or that we are making some sort of statement that, what we experienced together was not good, right? But that's not what it is. You can, just like relationships, and I'm someone who definitely believes that that you can end a relationship with somebody amicably and in a way where you can still love them and care for them and see that they are wonderful people, and just come to the conclusion that you are not meant to be together, right? And have, a respectful and compassionate end to that relationship. Well, the same thing for limiting beliefs, the same thing for cultural traditions, the same thing for anything is your relationship to it. You can still admire it. You can still hold it close to your heart as a beautiful memory, as a beautiful tradition you experienced. But if it's something that doesn't work for you, or if it's a belief, and we call them limiting beliefs, so there's almost like this underlying connotation that it's like bad beliefs, but that's not really what it is. It's just a belief that is holding us back. That's why we call it limiting. But it doesn't mean it's a wrong belief. It's a belief that has worked for you up until this moment. And once it no longer works for you, it's time to say goodbye to it and understand that it doesn't mean that you've been messing up for all those years that you had this belief. And it doesn't mean that your parents suck because they installed this belief in you. What it means is it's just time to let it go, right? Just like with kids, when they're growing up and finally like don't need a diaper, it's not like, oh God, diapers were so stupid. Who came up with using diapers? They're terrible. No, you needed the diaper because you didn't want to go to the bathroom on the floor. But then once you learned how to go to the bathroom and the toilet, then you could release the diaper without any anger towards the diaper. Although, let me tell you, throwing out that diaper genie in my house after all three kids were done with diapers was the most exciting time in my life at that time. And that's what we need to do. We need to calibrate, right? Calibrate our energy, shift the things that need to shift, raise our vibration, and then celebrate. Celebrate that that was part of our lives for so long. Thank it for being there. Thank your beliefs, thank your parents, thank your teachers, thank the community, thank society for being there to reflect back to you all of the things that you wanted and all of the things that you don't. Because that is how we evolve. We show up, we see, I like that, that's not for me, right? But without judgment. No judgment, no self-judgment, and no judgment of other people. Everybody's on their own path. Everybody's figuring out how to do things their own way. I don't have time to waste about whether or not somebody else is doing what I want them to do. Oh my God, please, I don't have time for that. I'm going to focus on myself and on my family and just showing up in the best way possible for us to be contributing members of society, and also for us to feel in complete alignment with who we are and the goals and mission that we have in life. And I encourage you to do the same thing. And don't worry about disconnecting from the things that don't serve you. Don't worry about losing friends or family when you evolve, because the people who matter, the people who love you and really understand you, or who want to understand you, they're not going anywhere. They're going to love you no matter what. And the people that go, you can just kiss them goodbye and wish them well. That's okay. They're just not ready. They're just not able to deal with whatever changes that you're making, and that's okay too. And you can let them go with love and compassion as well. All right, that's today's topic. I will be back tomorrow. Don't forget to subscribe to Jumpstart for Change on YouTube. Ding that little notification bell. I will be back tomorrow morning. And tomorrow's Friday, so it's Fun Friday. That means I'm pulling cards. So if you want me to pull a card for you and see what the angels have to say to you, well, then show up tomorrow at 10 a.m. I'll see you then. Love you all. Bye.